Joe Gibbs Racing, and he's now with Richard Petty Motorsports, and he's in the King's number 43 Chevrolet.
You know, you've been on the roll so far in the number 43 Richard Petty Motorsports Chevy, 2 top 10s, most recently at Bristol, the ninth place finish. I mean, you're really piloting one of the most iconic racing numbers in NASCAR right now. You know, how's it been throughout these first couple of weeks in the series?
And I've had a lot of fun. I mean, getting started, obviously new team, new manufacturer, so a lot of new things for me at the start of the season, going into Daytona and that. So just working through kind of each week and the stuff we can do to get better and learn each other better has been the biggest thing for me. And just building a notebook as quick as we can. Right, we've went to a lot of different tracks. We've done a super speedway, 1.5 miles, a shorter track at Phoenix. Had a good run at Bristol Dirt, which was, really unique and kind of a one-off. So I was really proud that we were able to put together a good car and go there and run in the top 10. So, it's been good. And I think we're trending in the right direction, as long as we can keep up here, running on the top towards the top 10, I think it's going to be a good season for us. So we've been doing a good job just getting the points back from Daytona. Obviously we got caught in that first wreck, so it's been a long road to kind of get back from that and get some good points going here.
Now we're looking ahead a couple of weeks now. We got Martinsville this week coming up, Richmond a week after that, and then of course everybody loves it, Talladega Superspeedway. Now you've had some success at Talladega. I mean, you came close last year, I believe. I think it was like race 31 of the season. You were just ever so close to that win. I mean, and then on top of that, we were still in the middle of a pandemic. So I mean, you would have had a pandemic win too. I mean, come on, Eric. But we're sitting here and it's to the point now where, which of those three tracks are you looking forward to? Because I know you've struggled with a little bit with Martinsville, a little bit with Richmond. I mean, it's the short track life, right? You can never escape anything at those tracks. Yeah,
they're kind of up and down. I've had some. I guess Martinsville's probably been the biggest struggle for us. We've always, for me at least, I've just been trying to improve there as we go through the year. And I feel like looking at the race that we had there last fall, that was a race it's been up and down. We've had some good runs there, so I feel confident about that one. And then Talladega, I mean, I always look forward to it. It's obviously a little bit of a unique race, just in the sense that anything can kind of happen. You're sometimes not always in the total control of your destiny at that place, but we've come really close to winning there a few times. So I think in the super speedway world, is if you keep putting yourself in that spot, one of the times it's going to work out for you, and you're going to win one. So I just hope we're there at the end of the race again and have a shot to go up and contend. And, obviously that's a great opportunity for us to get a win and get ourselves in the playoffs here early in the season. So that's the ultimate goal, but, definitely looking forward to every really of the next few races coming up.
Now, it's got to be big considering you're driving the 43 car, a number synonymous with all of history in NASCAR, to get to the playoffs, even just get it back into victory lane. We know the 43 has had a little bit of a drought for a couple of years. I guess, how would you celebrate should you eventually make it back to, to victory lane in this iconic ride? How would you do it?
I don't even know. I mean, that's obviously the ultimate goal for this year, and would be an awesome moment for a lot of reasons. But man, I think it would be a great party. I think all the guys on the team would be pretty pumped about that one, and as well as Richard, and getting that 43 car back in victory lane, I know is something that he would love to see. So we're all working hard to that goal and trying to do what we can to make it happen. And everybody on that group over there wants to win. That's what they want to do. That's why we're all in racing. And it's really a solid group of guys. I really enjoy working with them, and the ability that they all have, for me, has been impressive, and the attention that they pay to detail as well. So it's been fun to work with them, and would mean a lot to me to get those guys, a win in the Cup Series.
Now, a lot of drivers talk about how they want to do the qualifying, and you guys want to do the practicing. Do you think that sometimes not having that really sets, I guess, it sets you guys apart? This is the top pinnacle of motorsport. This is where you should know what you're doing by now. And not having to do the practices or the qualifying, I mean, outside of the Bristol Dirt, we're not going to talk about that. We had to practice for that. But outside of the practices and the qualifying, do you think that kind of puts everybody back on a level playing field amongst everybody. I mean, you're a single car organization. You don't have, well, I mean, outside of the Chevy camp, and we're not going to talk about that. I don't want to get into the conversation of, are the Chevys going to work together? I remember that. I know you remember that day. But it's like, does that kind of put everybody on the same level playing field when you don't have those notes to share across the organization with other people?
I guess you could look at it either way a little bit. I think the one way you can look at it is that you have to rely a lot more on simulation, which I think RPM does have a good simulation program, and I think they're getting better and better each week. But so sometimes that's a little bit of an advantage for a bigger team. They just have more people running the simulation, more people working on it, more people improving it. The other way to look at it is that you don't have the development during practice and during the race weekend, and that it can kind of level the playing field out. You kind of get more of a 50-50 shot at it. When we had practice and qualifying before, you had the chance to really dial your car in, which really, always lended itself to the top teams and guys who knew what their cars were capable of. But now, you have the opportunity for someone with a big 4-car team to unload and their car not be very good. And as long as we can hit it, we can outrun them that day. So, I think it like I said, it's a double-edged sword, and there's two ways to look at it. But I think more than not, it probably does level the playing field more than anything.
Let's talk about the differences, if we can, of course, between what is a Joe Gibbs Racing and what is a Richard Petty Motorsports. Now, everybody knows RPM had a little bit of small trouble back in the day with a little bit of the finances and things like that. It happens. It's racing, right? So from your eyes and what your aspect, what's the differences, or what's been the key changes that you've had to adjust to? And I guess, I don't know how to really say, because I'm not a racer like you. What are some of those key changes?
Yeah, it's just a lot different, right? It was JGR is a 4-car organization, and there's a lot of employees and a lot of people working there, and a lot going on. It's really kind of a big machine. And you go over to RPM, it's way more comfortable for me. It's a small group, and I really, just to get the chance to know everybody that's had a hand in making the car go to the racetrack is comforting for me. I never really even had the chance to meet everybody that works at JGR, which it wasn't going to happen. There's 500-600 employees there, so there's just no way. But getting to know everybody at RPM, I've just enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed it being a single car team. Having one group of people is comforting. That want to make one car go fast is a neat feeling, and something that reminds me more of the racing I did growing up. It was late model racing. It was just us and our family trying to make it go and make it work. And it's definitely more of that feel over at RPM. So I've really enjoyed that part of it. And just feeling like, your voice is heard, right? You want to be able to bring something to the table, and no matter what you're doing, and it doesn't have to just be racing. But for me, I feel like I've been able to go to RPM and just work with those guys and do everything I can to help them, keep getting better. And that's the goal for them each year, is just to keep improving. And the way they've been going is a positive direction. And 2 top 10s this year has been great. And I just want to keep piling those up and hopefully rack up as many as we can.
Now, you're learning from one of the greatest guys ever, 7-time champion, Richard Petty. Now, of course, he hasn't been in a race car like the ones that we currently drive. And of course, the next generation of race car either. But what kind of learning have you done, or what kind of sponging have you done from someone that's been a champion, not just once, not just 3, not just 5, like 7 times? That's got to be a lot of learning still there, right?
There is. I think one thing in racing is that the cars do always change, and they always move forward with the times. But the one thing that never changes is really the racecraft. Racing and the way that you go out and win races really hasn't changed much in the last 70 years. It's been kind of the same formula, just a little bit different way of getting there now with what we got for race cars. So there's always something to learn from Richard and what he's got to bring to the table. Obviously on the racetrack, but off the racetrack as well. He had a lot of great relationships with sponsors and obviously the fans. He was a fan favorite for a lot of years. So just hearing those stories and kind of how he managed some of that stuff, and then obviously hearing some of what he did on the racetrack as well, and how he approached certain situations has been pretty cool. Obviously getting to talk to a guy like that is a neat experience as a driver, but also as a race fan myself, and just a fan of the history of the sport. So I've enjoyed those conversations with him and just tried to soak up, everything that he says. You always try to soak it in and just trade, remember what he's got to tell you.
True. So Eric, what are some of the things that you do now before a race? Now, everybody has their own pre-race rituals and things like that. I'm assuming some of your rituals had to change. You went from, again, like I said, JGR, and I don't want to keep talking about JGR, first of all. So we're done talking about JGR. It's all about RPM right now. So what are some of the new rituals that you do before a race, even in this pandemic? I mean, you can't really go out there and meet fans as often as you used to, which kind of sucks. And, some people are very personable. And you guys like being out there with the fans, and you just can't have that same level of interaction right now, at least until everybody gets this COVID shot, which we're hoping everybody does, so we can all return back to the track, right? So what are some of the pre-race rituals that you do now, even with the pandemic, and just to, I guess, level yourself out and get ready for the events?
Yeah, it's a little bit tougher now, because we go in the racetrack on a lot of times the day of the race. So it's kind of hard sometimes to get in that race mode, when you're there for 3 days and you're practicing and qualifying, you're kind of always just, you're clicked on the whole time and just focused in on what you need to do on the racetrack. But when you roll in, you chill out for a while, eat lunch, and then try to hop in the race car and go. Sometimes it's hard to get your mind working in that direction. So a lot of my focus has just been to try to make that happen quicker and just get locked in on the racetrack. And some of that has just been going over to the hauler and sitting and talking with the guys, about the racetrack, and it kind of just being in the hauler for me gets me more in that race mode and just switched on to what we're doing, at the moment. Instead of just walking out to the grid and hopping in the race car, you don't really have time to get turned, into that mode. So sitting in the hauler, being with the guys, that's probably been the biggest thing for me that just helps me kind of get switched and put in and focused on what we need to go out and do.
All right. So we always talk about it. Now the schedule changes real quick. I got only a couple more minutes. So schedule changes. We've had Daytona Road. We had Daytona Road Shootout. We had Daytona Road itself as a race. What else? We got COTA coming up. We got Bristol Dirt. I mean, I'm running out of fingers already thinking about it, honestly. And I'm not even done running through the list. So with all these new changes and, the way the schedules are now different and how things are kind of looking forward towards the future with, how we're changing up, I guess, a old tired formula. A lot of fans are tired of 1.5 mile tracks. And I'm pretty sure for a driver, you're like, oh my gosh, another 1.5 miles. Oh boy. But I'm not going to say that you actually said that, okay, first of all. But, how happy are you to keep seeing these new changes and these new tracks coming in and really testing you guys as drivers?
Well, it's fun. I think overall, we always want to do something different. I think we all grew up as racers going to a lot of different racetracks and different areas. So that's always fun. You want to go to new places and have new experiences. So like you said, a lot of cool tracks that we're going to. And there's a lot of great racetracks in the country. We have a lot of options of places where we can go race in the Cup Series. So really cool to see, I think, some of the markets that we're going to be going into this year. I think they're great markets for racing. And I think there's a lot of race fans in some of the places that we're going to be going. It's different. You're asking a lot out of yourself, right? As a Cup driver now, we have to be road course racers, short track racers, super speedway racers, dirt racers. So that part's cool. As a driver, you want to be diverse and be able to kind of hop into any situation and be competitive. So I think that's what NASCAR's really always been about. And we're kind of getting back to that again, to where it is a lot of different places and unique places that we're going to. And we're starting to go back to some short tracks and road courses, which I think really put on good racing. So we're doing the right things. And I think we're heading, in a good direction with the schedule here for the near future.
Now, first of all, real quick, last question for real. I'm a gamer. I love video games. All right. And I know you probably gamed a little bit when you were growing up. You did a little bit of that NASCAR Thunder 04. Now, I know you probably did, right? Everybody did NASCAR Thunder 04. So this is going to be a weird question. If you could have one fantasy track from any of the NASCAR games that EA Sports made back in the day, what would be a fantasy track that you would race on?
I don't remember the name of the track, but it was in like it was like around a football field. I
know which one. Tiburon. I think it's Tiburon. That's the one. Yeah. Or then they changed the name. It went from like Tiburon to like a Dodge City Raceway, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah, it was like a Bristol on steroids.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to go race that place in real life.
Man, we got to talk to somebody and make it happen, right? I'm pretty sure SMI might, they'll go for it.
They would definitely go for it.
Anyways, Eric, hey, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for coming through, and good luck in the, throughout the rest of the season. If I don't get a chance to see you, I'm gonna try to get to Talladega this year, but pandemic, who knows, right?
Well, I hope you make it, man. I appreciate it.